You reap if you sow. If you didn't sow, no need to talk about I'm waiting on my season. You didn't put anything in the ground. What you looking for? You can only reap if you sow. So let me just begin to introduce. I've got 14 minutes to introduce Kairos, and then I'll pick that up next time. The second way time is spoken of in Scripture is Kairos, and the Greek language is where I get that word from, and it means the right, not just the Kronos time, but the right time, the best time, the appropriate time. That's Kronos. Meaning sometimes the Bible talks about the time literally, other times it means the best time to do things, timely, strategic, intentional use of time at the right time. You can do the right thing at the wrong time and it ends up wrong. And you say, but that was a good thing. That was something the Lord wanted me to do. Yeah, but the time. I talked about that a little bit when I was earlier in the series, and I said sometimes we do the right thing at the wrong time, and as a result, that task doesn't get met the way it ought to get met. Because tasks are often, especially in the will of God, are often very time related. So here's the way I want to just begin to get you thinking about the Kairos operations in your life. Ecclesiastes 3, Old Testament book of Ecclesiastes 3, the first 3 verses and then verse 11. Here's what Solomon said. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. If you mark, you want to mark and a season for every activity. And a season, that's what Kairos is. It's not just time like on the clock. It is seasons. It is the appropriate time. It is when certain things ought to happen. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heavens. Verse 2, a time to be born and a time to die. Time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. Now there he goes on several more verses. I don't need to keep doing that. Skip to verse 11. He has made everything beautiful in its time. If you learn to live a timely life, then you'll find much more beauty because you're doing the right thing at the right time. That's what makes it beautiful. It's timely. This is the best time for me to get this done in my life. So this part of the series, I want to help you to make sure you are matching up the things that are priorities with the time you need to get them done in your life. Now, first of all, as I introduce this Kairos idea, I want to expose and correct a common error among many believers regarding seasons. I hear a lot of Christians, I preach all around the country and stuff like that, and I'm exposed to a lot of things, and I hear lots of people talking about, this is my season. This is my season. This is my season. And I know what they mean. What they mean is, this is a time they're expecting to reap, to be blessed, to receive money or promotions or marriage, or I've seen them this season for all kinds of stuff. This is my season. God gonna give me my person, and this and that, and he gonna give me a promotion. He gonna give me a new job. He gonna give me a new car. This is my season. He gonna give me a house. Season. And they talking about this is my season. Let me help you understand something. Every day you're in a season. There is no day for the child of God that isn't tied to a season. How many seasons are there in nature? We have 4. We have winter, we have spring, we have summer, we have fall. Nobody can walk around this earth saying, I'm waiting on my season. You're in a season. Which season you in? If you're in winter, if you're in parts of the world like we're in, here in California, it's not so bad. Winter here is, when these people say they're cold, just I get it. I mean, I've now lived in California more than I lived on the East Coast. So I've learned y'all who have been in California all your life. And I know what y'all think when y'all say it's cold. Bless your heart. Relatively, compared to what you're used to, ooh, Lord, it's cold. How many of y'all have been or lived in places that were truly cold? Look at the real. There's the real. Ask these people after service, when you say cold, what were you talking about when you had your hand up? That's what y'all need to talk about in the cafe and find out what was going on. Some of us been places where we say it's cold. If you spat, it was frozen before it hit the ground. So everybody's in a season. I'm just using the natural world as an example. In your personal life, in your work life, in your every area of your life, the 7 pillars of your life, in your educational life, in your social life, in your family life, in every area, you are in some season. And the seasons aren't the same. You can be in a reaping season in one area and a sowing season in the other one. So quit talking about it's my season. It's always your season. Question is, what season are you in and in which area? Because you don't want to be acting like the wrong season based on where you're supposed to be. Does everybody understand where I am? I'm just laying the foundation so that when I start building on this, you'll have the context. You're always in a season, and the seasons don't all line up. It's not like when people say, it's my season. Well, yes, but which season? Well, I believe this is my season for reaping. Okay, but not in every area. So look at the areas you still got some sowing to do, because you don't have enough seed in the ground to expect a harvest. Oh, this is good. This is good. What you doing looking for a harvest? Well, when did you sow? I ain't sow. Then what you doing looking for a harvest? No farmer goes out in the spring talking about where my harvest. No. If you didn't sow it, and they certainly didn't sow it in the winter, then they're not looking for it to come up in the spring. You got to start your sowing in sowing season. And then you got to wait. It's still, if you sowed right, sowed well, I'll talk about all that next time. We got to talk about how to sow. Some of us think we're in a sowing season and you are not doing the work. You're doing a whole bunch of expecting and no working. Oh yeah, be here next week. Be here. Yeah. Make arrangements to be here, all right? Your friend said, no, there's a festival. I said, no, baby, after service, I got to go figure out what's going wrong in my harvest season. And I'll meet you at the festival after I figure this out. Because you cannot have wrong expectations if you haven't done the work. So we'll get there. But there are seasons in the various areas of your life, and God has made everything beautiful in its season, which means you've got to pay attention to the things you must do. Now, the principle we're going to unpack is based on what God said to Noah after, the flood, and Noah was being used to regenerate human population and all of that. Genesis 8, just look at the verse as I wrap up this introduction, and we'll pick it up. Genesis 8, verse 22. God said to Noah, as long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest. What is that? Sowing and reaping. As long as the earth endures, God said the principle of sowing and reaping, as well as cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night, will never cease. But the first thing he said is seed time and harvest. You all are going to live, you and all of your descendants are going to live by the principle of sowing and reaping. So let me just introduce the first part of the fourfold law of the harvest. The fourfold law of the harvest begins with this: you reap if you sow. We'll get there next time. You reap if you sow. If you didn't sow, no need to talk about I'm waiting on my season. You didn't put anything in the ground. What you looking for? You can only reap if you sow. Nobody goes out to the garden talking about, I don't see my carrots coming up at all. I don't see my tomatoes. When did you plant tomatoes? No, I ain't plant any. Well, then what were you doing? You out there trying to misuse. You know, people love misusing spiritual principles. I spoke it into existence. You know what? I am so sick and tired of this world. Y'all younger generations get on my nerves sometimes. Y'all pick up with this little, because you just show how spoiled you are. And now you got folk talking about, I manifested it. Oh, everybody talking about something they manifested. Listen, the principle is sowing and reaping. If you didn't sow, you're not going to get a manifestation. Oh, yeah, and I know that I'm going to bring my own amens the next week, because I got to encourage myself, because some of y'all are going to be mean mugging me. Because I already hit you when I mess with your word manifest. Yo, everybody all over the world, they manifesting this and manifesting that. I manifested it. I manifested it. No, I'm going with the biblical principle of sowing and reaping. Did you sow? Did you sow? If you sowed, now you can expect a harvest. And if I sow, I don't even have. Now, understand me, I'm not being critical of faith. I'm a faith-walking man. But if I sow, I don't have to have faith for the harvest. Because God said the principle is in the earth and it will never cease. I don't have to believe for a harvest if I sowed for a harvest. I don't have to, I name it and claim it. I blabbed it and grabbed it. That's easy believism. And we who are followers of Christ and followers of the patterns of faith in Scripture, we don't need to be people of easy believism. We need to be people of biblical principle. I don't have to believe for something I sowed for, because it's coming. God said I'm going to get my harvest if I sow it.